Hello, welcome to the Men's Forum. I'm your host, Gary Costanza, and tonight's topic, why men's rights. Tonight we're going to discuss some major issues relating to men's rights, namely men's health, circumcision, the draft, men's reproductive rights, comparable worth, and we're going to try to get, if we have time, discuss some gender issues in the news. Tonight with me, I have three guests. My pleasure to introduce. On my right, Gary Saltz, Hope Jackson, and Rosemary Truglio. Welcome. Welcome to the Men's Forum.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You might say, why men's rights? Most people don't even think about it. Most people think, men are doing pretty fine, or men are in control. So what's with the men's rights stuff? There's, in many ways, men aren't doing that well, and women have come a long way. I mean, I'm all for women's rights. I'm all for equal rights, actually, and we've all supported that. I think society has, anyway, helping women to become all they can be. But now I think men have a lot of problems. I see it, and I want to try to bring it out to the public, and we're trying to fight for men's equality in some ways. Let's start off with men's health. During my research in the men's rights movement, we find out that men aren't doing too well as far as health. They have dangerous jobs. Almost all, 94% of workplace deaths are men. They have a shorter lifespan, although that is narrowing a bit, but it still is, I believe it's 5 years shorter than women. Men suffer from disease in almost all diseases to a greater extent than women. Namely prostate cancer. It's a terrible disease. I don't think we're doing enough about it. I'm all for helping women with breast cancer, but that is sort of like the disease du jour. And I think men now need to speak up for themselves, because this is a terrible disease. And I believe that men, this prostate cancer is only getting 1/5 of the funding that, from the government that breast cancer gets. Now, I don't want to have a battle of the sexes, but I just want to be taken care of equally.
Well, Gary, one point with the breast cancer.
Yeah.
It's probably not a well-known subject, but men do get breast cancer.
Yes.
So it's not just a
A
woman's
small,
disease.
a small percentage.
Right. But
yeah,
it,
it's a small
it
percentage.
Is, it is out there.
Yeah, it's not negligible, I don't think, even. It's probably maybe, I don't know,
5%?
5%?
Yeah.
Well,
Right,
yeah.
that's the
Well.
ones that are detected.
Well, that's why we're funded. They're
Right.
funded.
Okay, alcoholism and drugs. Now, that is definitely a men's problem, by far. I don't know what the statistics are on that. At some point we're going to do a show just on men's health. But by far, men suffer from alcoholism and drugs by a far greater extent than women. Suicide, the suicide rate in general is 5 times the rate of women. This is a fact. 5 times the rate
women
of women.
attempt it, but don't. They attempt it, but don't succeed. Usually it's pills.
They say that. That. I don't know if that's true. Maybe it is true. Maybe the women do attempt it more. It may be true.
But they'll take pills and maybe not succeed, where men
Right, men do
will
succeed.
do more drastic.
I believe, like I say, 5 times more than women. Men are doing this not because they're in control. I think they're doing it because they're not in control, or they have problems.
Depression.
I think a lot of it is men are groomed to handle stress and financial responsibility, and when they can't handle it, they can't find a way out.
And they suffer depression.
And they suffer depression too.
And instead
Just
of
as
going
well.
for therapy,
Right.
Yeah.
Like more women go for therapy.
right.
Women's,
Or verbal, we're
right,
more verbal.
women are more verbal, and they talk about their problems, I think, more than
Where men
do.
bottle them up.
Right, because
Well-
they have to be the stronger, they have
right.
to be the more in
But
control.
that is because other men make fun of you,
Right.
I
True.
think, more.
Right, society
So
doesn't
men have to be
don't
kinder
allow-
to each other.
But I think we're
Learn
groomed
to be
that way
kinder. Yeah,
from
yeah. Don't
when
be
we're
a wimp,
younger.
Yeah.
be strong, but you have to be kinder to each other.
I think we have to be
More
kind to each
compassionate,
other,
more
and we
compassionate.
have to
And so do women.
allow ourselves to take care of ourselves,
And not be afraid to say, I'm depressed.
not be
Or,
afraid. Certainly not.
Can't handle this.
And don't allow ourselves to be pressured into dangerous jobs or situations. Don't
Well,
try
the
to
dangerous
don't try to
jobs,
handle all the
yeah.
burdens of the family.
It's true.
Well,
It certainly shouldn't be on one person's shoulders.
I think
No.
today it's a lot of families are equal. I
Yeah.
think
Well,
because the
I think
woman
it's
works.
changed a lot.
Yeah, it's changed
I mean,
in the last.
my
not
parents'
10
In the last
generation,
decade, yeah.
my mother never worked.
Yeah.
Right.
Now my
right.
wife and I both
Sure.
work.
It's certainly
And
changing, and I hate to say it, women are catching up on all these
We're
horrible
catching
rates.
up dying,
They
right.
are. They are.
Right.
Smoking,
You know.
Because of the
alcoholism,
stress. Because
Smoking, heart disease.
Depression.
well, alcoholism and drug abuse also, I think,
Yes.
is a woman's issue as well as a man's
Yeah,
issue.
yeah.
high cholesterol, you name it.
Okay, another issue: homicide. Of course, most homicides are men, both victim and perpetrator. Men are killing men, and I think that's a big problem.
Serial killers are usually men.
I think men are
Yeah.
more physical, and
Yeah.
when they do try
Act
to
out.
commit suicide, it's more of a violent act.
Yeah.
Where I think women tend to more like
verbalize.
verbalize it
Yeah.
or pills, something like that, easier.
Right.
And that's why I think the death rate is a little bit higher.
I wonder what the homicide deal is. Why are men committing all this murder against other
More
men?
anger, more
Yeah, I think so. I think they're angry.
anger. They keep in and then just explode.
Frustration,
a lot of men
stress,
just
and
explode.
anger.
Yeah.
Certainly anger. I think we put a lot of pressure on men to succeed, and if they don't in this socially acceptable ways, they'll have to succeed in other ways. Otherwise, they won't have anything.
Or they're seen as a
because
failure.
They'll be right.
They're seen as a
Because
failure.
no one is going to
Failure.
come to their rescue, generally not, and come support them. Because we know, we do generally expect the man to take care of the family. It still is generally true, you know. So if he can't make the good money as a doctor or a white collar worker, he'll be a blue collar worker, which is a dangerous profession. And at the lower end, the most dangerous professions within the blue collar industry are construction, farming. They're horribly dangerous jobs. That's where most of the deaths happen. And then, of course, if they can't get those jobs, then they go to crime. That's
Well, I think a lot of the crime, though, is from drugs.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
people on drugs.
Mhm.
Who else?
Well,
would?
there's a market for that. So if a guy can't get a real job, he sells drugs, I guess. How about incarceration? Why are most inmates men? That's a good
Because men
question.
act out their anger.
Yeah.
Men are
Commit more
violent.
crimes.
They commit
Yeah.
more
Physical.
crimes.
Yeah.
Statistically, they commit more crimes.
They sure do. Yeah. I guess they have a problem. They don't want to go to jail. They don't want to commit these crimes. Why aren't women committing these crimes?
I think they
I
do,
was going to say something.
but I think it's at a lower rate.
Certainly at a lower rate. Well, are men, okay, the question is, are men evil? Are men more evil? Are men worse?
No,
Well,
I don't think so.
Maybe we just don't crave the excitement of armed robbery.
I don't know.
Then there was
no,
Bonnie
I-
and Clyde, though.
Well,
I mean, I like to make the analogy, I mean, disproportionate amount of black men are in jail, and we certainly aren't going to say that they're inherently
well,
have inherent evil, just like, so we can't say that men are inherently evil. So you have to conclude that there's some sort of oppression of society that's making men do this. It's not
poverty.
It's not
the lowest socioeconomic.
I think it's what you're brought up with in the environment you're
Yes.
in.
Yes.
Certain
Yeah.
environments. I mean, you know, you're in a bad environment with a lot of high rate of unemployment and drugs.
That
and
certainly
it
ma-
does
You'll take a
contribute
risk, right?
to
Right.
That's probably
Acting out.
certainly the reason, maybe with the minority population in jail. But the male-female thing, I think it's men. As we said before, we did cover it pretty good. that men are expected to be the providers, and they're going to do whatever they have to do, and even more than I don't want to pussyfoot around about the providing thing. I think men do it to get love, to get the love of women. That's it. I mean, that's what this whole family thing is about.
To get love?
Yeah. I mean, I think so.
What do you mean? This is what this whole family thing is about?
Well, I mean, we're not saying that men are killing themselves to get a family. They don't really want the family. They want a wife to love and to love them.
No, that's not necessarily true, Kat. I mean, I'm married and I have kids, and I do it because I want that. Not because I want my wife's affection. I mean, I love my wife, but I also want to take care of my kids.
If you examine it further, though, if you didn't have the job,
right,
you might not get a girlfriend. Or if you made a lot less money, possibly. You maybe attract a different type.
Well, my wife makes more than I do, so.
Yeah?
Yeah. And would you want to
Well,
go
those
out with
things are
somebody who
changing.
didn't
I
have
have
a
to say, those
job?
things-
You know, men, would you want to date somebody
Right.
who's not
Who
working?
wants to date someone that doesn't have a job,
No,
male
no,
or
but-
female?
You want
But-
your equal, I think. You tend to
But
want
I think women have
somebody
more
at
of
least
a
equal.
choice as to picking a job that's easier and more pleasurable than make the big money. Because no man wants to be a construction worker. Nobody wants.
Some people enjoy doing that job.
Yeah, but
It's
that's
true.
the rarity.
Out of
No, but that's the rarity. Come on, most men don't want to do that.
you have
Women
people-
don't
I know
do
quite
it
a few
because
guys that really
physical.
enjoy doing construction
You have
work.
people working for vets who just enjoy animals.
Yeah.
You have people who are nurses.
Yeah, but
that
that's a good paying job. That's not a dangerous
veterans
job.
assistant might not be a good paying
But
job.
I don't
I'm not
enjoy
sure.
doing office work, but that was the
Yeah, but
thing
most
to do.
men don't want to die on the job. I mean, they're not doing it because they want to do it. They're doing it because they have to do it. Society's making them do it. We don't have women on construction jobs.
Yeah, there are
There
women.
Yeah,
who,
we do.
There are women on construction
There
jobs.
again, the exception. I don't see hardly any. I mean, maybe 1%. There you go.
I
1%.
see them out there
One-
waving those
1%,
flags.
Yes.
Even
Yes.
5%.
Wow, that
yeah.
gets me. No, that I don't think it's
All
fair.
right,
I think
how
you should
about-
get equal
let's move on.
work for
Let's move
equal
on a little bit.
pay.
Circumcision. I believe, well, let me start off. The American Association of Pediatricians and the American Medical Association say it's not medically necessary. I believe that it's abuse. There's no reason for it. This is one of the major reasons why I'm doing this show, because circumcision is I believe, as I say, child abuse. It's not medically needed. It's elective surgery. These boys should make the choice to get the surgery. And there's absolutely no reason for the surgery. It's disfiguring. It's funny, the doctor's motto is do no harm. Any doctor listening tonight, just think about those words, do no harm. You're removing perfectly healthy tissue, sensitive tissue from almost every boy in the country. This is nuts.
Well,
I'm
the
sorry.
religious. Some religions.
Some
It's a
religions.
religious.
Yeah, but I don't excuse that. That's no
That's
reason to me,
something
because
that, you know.
because there's a worldwide movement against female genital mutilation, and we all agree that that's a horrible thing. And we're not going to accept some country who
But
says,
there's no
well, it's our
religious
religion.
reason. Or is
Well,
there?
even if there's a
don't
religious
think so.
reason, even for the woman to get cut like that, it's not justified. It's abuse. It's a mutilation.
Well, I wish
It's a
I would have
crime.
questioned when my son was born 22 years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
It was just, yeah.
Right.
I thought it was a health.
I thought it was illegal not to.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
So I
no
think
one
people
was
should
asked.
question it.
Mothers were not asked
Yeah.
if we should have our sons circumcised. It was just a by rote kind of thing.
I think
Yeah.
two things on that. Number one, the health reason, health-wise, that there's more problems of infection and also of cancers of that area.
Yeah.
You mean when they're older?
Yes, when they're older.
You
Well,
think-
infections when they're younger too. It's not clean
You
properly.
think? Well,
Well,
but my
as-
son had an infection after a day after he was circumcised.
Yeah,
He
that-
got nursery jaundice.
Many
right
times
after,
that causes
which I
a
always
problem.
felt
Many, many times.
his immune system was.
Could have been down.
Oh
down,
yes, certainly. There's
weakened.
there's many instances of many problems and deaths every year. I don't know the exact number, but on average, 100
babies.
boys die from the surgery. That's absolutely not needed.
Well, I just
But
think you
hopefully-
I
should
had no
question
idea
it. You
that.
should
Yeah,
research
no, it's
it.
horrible. Yeah, it's horrible.
You should look into
and
it.
There actually is a book out, a best-selling book about a story where a boy's penis was cut off,
Yes.
and they
Yes.
made him into a girl.
Yes,
and,
I saw that.
And he didn't even know this until many, many years
The
later.
doctor, right.
You know, his psyche was telling him he's a boy,
Right.
but he was living life as a girl. But Hope is exactly right. No, they never gave us a choice. They still don't give us a choice.
Well, no, they do give you a choice.
They give you a choice.
They give you a choice.
No,
You
but
have
they
to
don't give you an informed
Right.
reason.
Well, not
Exactly.
20 years
no
ago.
One, no one,
I
no
don't know
doctor
today.
ever sat
Even
down
today,
with us.
even today, they don't say this is not medically necessary. And I want to start the movement. I'm sure it's been started actually.
I was going to
because
say, I think that's a great campaign
there are hundreds of organizations out there. I'm going to name one right now. NoCirc.org, I believe it is, that are against this. There's many thousands of like-minded people that are fighting this. A way to stop this is the HMO. This is an expensive surgery, and it's not medically necessary. And with the way that HMOs are cutting costs, it's the perfect time to say, look, here's a non-medically necessary surgery that you're wasting money on,
That
and
they
I don't
could
want
be
my
paying,
money
yeah.
to pay for it.
I think if you're going to have children and he knows it's going to be a boy, I think it's good to talk to your pediatrician about the reasons for and against.
Right, right. Do a little research.
But how about this? How about this? Okay, if this is like there is no reason, Gary. The infection thing or the cleanliness thing, that's ridiculous. That's like saying you're going to cut a part of yourself off because you don't feel like washing it. That's ridiculous. We don't do that to women. Women need to wash themselves too. Okay, that's not an issue. The cancer thing there's really no measurable amount of penile cancer, so there's really no reason. And as I said, all these medical organizations say there's none. How about this? How about this? Let him choose. Okay, if this is such an important thing, let the kid choose when he's 16 or 12.
It's very painful.
Well, guess what? It's painful when you're 2 days old.
Right.
Okay.
I wonder why it became so widespread.
It's
and
horrible.
such a.
I don't know. I'm going to do. I'm
at
going
16.
to handle this more in depth in future shows for sure. I think it was to stop masturbation.
There were other reasons.
Yeah, there were other reasons.
But just
well,
question
I would just
yeah.
like to stress to the public to really leave the kid intact. I mean, actually, in my research, there's a word that's going around now. It's called intactivism. Isn't that funny? Intactivism. That's activism to keep your boy intact, keep us men intact. I would just suggest that all parents research this. It's go to the library. There's a lot of videos and literature about it. Whether you want to do it or not, there's no reason for it. Most of the world don't do it. 85% of men, I believe, in the worldwide, are not circumcised.
But in the United States, how much percentage-wise is done?
I'm not sure. I think now it's coming down. I think it's about 65%.
Oh, really?
That's not
small?
bad.
There are doctors that have written articles against it, that
Yes,
have
there are.
performed,
Many
and
doctors.
nurses.
And
I
nurses.
believe Benjamin
If
Spock,
they do,
Dr.
right.
Spock, was sorry that he didn't come out against it earlier in his first book. He's got a video out. You could probably get it at the library. And he's the most outspoken objector to circumcision. The draft. I think that's probably the worst issue for men. I think if you talk about oppression, any sort of oppression by either sex, I think the draft's got to be the worst, because here you're devaluing men to the point where like their lives are worth less than women's.
I think it should be both genders.
Yeah.
Should be on. You have to file for it
Right.
as of 18. Should be both.
Yeah, very good. And what about women in combat? I think they should be in combat. Although I don't know if that'll ever happen, but certainly what I think is being proposed is that men and women, like you say, have to register and have to required to give service of some sort.
Well,
2
women
years of service of
fly
some sort.
fighter jets, so you know.
They do. They're allowed to do that, and I guess that's they're in harm's way doing that.
Well, they volunteer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they are
sure.
volunteering.
Yeah.
And my point is that no woman has ever been drafted, ever. And that's not fair.
That's not
I mean,
fair.
that's
Well,
not
maybe
fair at
when
all.
they draft again, which
And, you know, And if we
hope
want
not.
to talk about for the feminists
I hope
out
they
there
don't,
who are a big fan of affirmative action, let's see if they're a fan of affirmative action in this case. Let's say for the next 200 years, just women are drafted, and to go fight and get maimed, to get killed.
Well, I think it should start with
Gary.
the registration first.
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
of course,
should start it now.
That's unbelievable. That's not even happening yet. That women are not required to register for the draft. Oh my God, it's terrible.
Well,
How about this idea? If you don't give a service to your country, you shouldn't have a vote. How about that? Or how about?
Well, there's a lot of men that haven't been in the service
Right.
either.
But all men have had equal responsibility to get drafted. Some of them got it.
To
or some
register.
Yes. Right. Or the risk. Or how about at least let's compensate men
point.
for being men. You know, for that risk. That's just an idea. All right. Let's move on to men's reproductive rights. Now, of course, we hear about women's reproductive rights all the time. That's what the National Organization for Women are always talking about. Now, what about men's rights to their reproductive future, to their lives? Do men? I don't believe. See, women, we've given them that right, that they have complete control over their future. If they get pregnant, they have a couple of choices: adoption and abortion, or to have the child. That's a lot of choices there. Men, on the other hand, really don't have any choice.
Exactly. Once the female's pregnant,
Right.
it's really up to her.
Yeah.
Well-
If the male wants a child and she says no,
well, that's why
There's a
if
no-go.
I was a man,
Because
I would be
she's-
twice as careful.
all right,
Oh.
and
3 times.
I would be because,
Of course. Certainly.
you know,
Um,
why people want to have children with people they hardly know is another.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
I think-
Gary's got it right. Exactly. The woman has control over his life, and
Right.
that's certainly not fair at all. The woman can control her life. Of course, the man shouldn't be able to tell her what to do, but she shouldn't be able to tell him what to do, and the state shouldn't tell him what to do either. The
Right.
state shouldn't force him into fatherhood.
right.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
Go ahead.
there's a lot that goes along. It's the child being born. When the child's born, it can be given up for adoption, or it can be kept, or abortion. Then there's child support payments, and there's visitation rights.
That's
I
a
mean,
lot.
you know, if the mother doesn't really want to have a child, but she has it anyway, and she can get full custody before the father who really wanted the child could get
true.
that. The way it's set up now.
So, yes.
Certainly.
So I think it needs to be
but he
changed.
can't say give up his rights.
Right,
No.
exactly. You can't sign
Right.
your rights
Well,
away. You're-
yeah.
it's-
He should be able to do that
That's
because
wrong.
that would be an equal
Right.
measure
since,
of choice
since
that
the woman
has,
carries
because
the
the
baby,
woman
she
can sign
can
off.
keep it.
She can sign off her rights by either abortion or adoption. I mean,
That's true.
the whole question is having a chance to plan for the future. That's why we gave women the right to choose, so they could, if they're in college and they're not ready to have a kid, a child, and support her for the rest of its life, we gave her that right to not have that responsibility. And men should have the same equal responsibility and not be forced into fatherhood by a woman or the state. If this woman chooses to be a mother with this unplanned pregnancy, then that's her right, but don't force the man to be a father if he doesn't want to be. If she wants to be the mother, then go right ahead, go do it. Do it on your own. I think by having the state be the policeman or the enforcer of fatherhood, we're giving some women the incentive to have these children,
And-
or to be lax in their
Well, you can't force anybody to be a parent. So
certainly not, certainly not. But financially,
Well,
that-
actually, yeah, you can. Because if your
financially,
female
right.
is pregnant and she wants to keep the baby, that means that he was forced to be a parent.
well,
Through the financial end.
Financial and
But
emotional,
not emotional
too.
Not a
because
parent.
Yeah, it is
well,
emotional.
there are men
because-
that abandon their children.
Yes,
all the
but
time.
but you know what? A lot of times it comes back to haunt them later on in life.
well, good.
The child-
Well, good,
They
yeah.
should-
Well, yeah, but when I'm,
I'm talking
saying,
about in a
okay, now you
marriage.
have
I'm talking about in
a
a
thing.
marriage.
Well, no, I'm talking outside of a
Abandoning
marriage.
children.
You had say an affair, and it was the man thought that there was some kind of contraception used, and it turned out that the
An
lady got
accident
pregnant,
happens,
and it
right,
happened,
yeah.
And now he didn't want anything to do with it, and he wasn't ready for children, and she wanted to, and she got him on the financial aspect of it. She also denied him rights to see the child, maybe, because...
Well, he could go to court.
He can go to court, right? But later on in life...
It's hard, I know.
I mean, that child might come back into his life. And, I mean, really, it's not fair. In the beginning, it was never decided by both of them. And you know what I'm saying? It just keeps going on.
Very difficult issue.
One day it's going to happen soon, because I've been in organizations that want to bring a lawsuit, a federal lawsuit, to challenge the federal government, to challenge this idea of forcing men into fatherhood, to being responsible for a child that he doesn't want, to have equal choice with women. The women's movement started with saying, you know, the government hands off our bodies. In other words, we're going to control our own bodies, okay? But but the same thing about men's bodies. Guess what? Men's body has to go out and earn money to support that child for 18 years, 21 years, and the state shouldn't control his body in that way either.
You know, I also think later on in life, a child might want to know some background, medical background.
Well, sure.
And that's pertinent to his life or her life. And it's another issue that has to be brought up.
That's a big issue. That's one of the big ones. I mean, I would say so. Reproductive rights for men. One of many issues that we're going to be discussing in the coming shows here at the Men's Forum. We're about running out of time, so I want to thank my guests, Gary Sulz, Hope Jackson, and Rosemary Triglio. We had fun. We're discussing the issues. Hopefully, we're going to solve some of these one day. Our viewers at home, if you'd like to email us at the Men's Forum, you could email us at gcastands@suffolk.lib.ny.us. And until next time, good night.